In Dhamma practice, we encourage to use this wisdom faculty, which begins to analyze, discern what's happening, what gives right, where, what's going on. Recognizing there are a variety of factors or experiences that happen that keep the show rolling, as it were. One of the important ones of these is feeling. Vedana, pleasure, pain, or undetermined, not certain yet. The neutral feeling kind of it lingers, it can become boring, unpleasant, or it could go to calming and become pleasant. So neutral is a kind of undetermined quality, and then there's pleasant, that which we agree with, feel ourselves move forward by, and disagreeable, which we find ourselves resisting or wanting to get over. And these occur on the physical level and on the psychological, mental, heart level. And sometimes we don't always notice that because, on the mental level, because we're used to just basically, avoiding it or bearing with it. So it's not so agreeable, but we'll think of something else. We can shift in the mind. So unpleasant memory, unpleasant mind state arises, well, do something else, and we shift away from it quickly. So we don't really notice it's unpleasant. Or we get used to, this is really boring, but I'll just bear with it and it'll go away eventually. Yeah, I don't really like being with her, but I'll be polite anyway. I mean, she's a bit annoying, annoys me a little bit, but I'll bear with it just to be polite, and eventually they'll leave. Yeah, it's an unpleasant feeling. And I suppose if you contemplate the mind, you can recognize at any particular time those feelings can be shifting. So what I'm saying might at first be kind of interesting, then it gets a little bit boring, but you bear with it, and then it gets interesting again, and it gets boring again, and you feel confused, and you feel inspired. And so the feeling tones shift. But I think if it stayed unpleasant for long, you'd basically switch off, literally unplug your screen or go and read a book or something or the other. So, there's fluctuations, but to say it's going to be constantly pleasant is just a fantasy. It's shifting. And generally it's it's okay. And there's probably something pleasant going to happen a little bit, in a while. Agreeable, interesting, warming, humorous, and gives good rise to an agreeable feeling. That's the way we're wired. And so even, certainly in the Sangha life where you wanted to sort of sit with things, you're there for your hour and a half through some ceremony or something, you've got to be there for 2 hours. And you go, okay, well, here we are. It's first interesting, it's boring. You don't want to be there. And you sit there, okay. Meditate on your breathing, breathe in and out, okay, feel that. Develop spaciousness, okay. Allow it to pass through. So you have ways of dealing with disagreeable feeling that you have to be with. And you're not complaining because you can't expect things to be always pleasant. It's not a criticism, it's just that's the way it is. And I find if I don't cultivate, then I basically numb out. Oh well, just kind of doze off or numb out. So to acknowledge the unpleasant feeling of say a tedious ritual that you're not really interested in, or a Dhamma talk that you're not really alive with, but not to just numb out, give it spaciousness, openness, letting it pass through, and maybe acknowledging, oh, this person's doing what they can. It's what they're doing, they're supposed to do. May they be well. It's not for me, but that's fine. She's enjoying it. He's so fine. I can go with that. So once you are able to accommodate the immediate disagreeable or not so agreeable feeling, then you come to a stable place, and then you can begin to bring up skillful inclinations, intentions, chaitana. May they be well. Somebody else is enjoying it, great. This is for somebody else's welfare, good, that's good, fine. And so you can get out of the grip of the feeling and find a stable place, then you can open up, and then you can begin to, from the openness, a wider perspective can rise. You see how it's a feeling? But to think that everything's going to be pleasant, or you can like it all, or feel guilty that you're not liking it. This is great, you're going to some party or something, some gathering that you've been invited to, you feel you ought to go because your cousins are there and your friends are there, so you go, you don't really like it very much. How are you doing? Fine. That's okay, yeah, fine. Because you can't say, I find it quite unpleasant, really, I'd sooner be elsewhere. Okay, yeah, I can be with this. Pause, actually. So this is, yourself, okay, and rather than feel guilty about it, it's just the fact. But that doesn't have to be the determining fact. It doesn't mean I have to move around that. So if I find a stable place where I can acknowledge feeling is feeling, okay, so not so wonderful. So what? And stop, and then you open up. Once you've found a stable place, the honest place, the truthful place, so you're not resisting, pushing. You can open. And you're going, okay, well, it's good that we get together, I guess, because, cousin James and Marley have been having a difficult time, and they're making friends with each other. And, those two were married and they had a really difficult time. Now, at least they're able to be in the same room together. This is good, And Uncle Jed doesn't look like he's got long to live anyway, so it's good that you see us all. You can kind of look at it in a kind of a more altruistic way. And certainly, this is the way that a lot of Sangha functions occur. You don't especially, this is sane, because if we don't do this, then all kinds of misperceptions and selfishness and, unresolved issues can be left to fester. So we get together and in that sense of, okay, harmony is important. Yeah, the immediate contact isn't what I want, but the sense of being in harmony with others, yeah, I could put aside the immediate feeling and go to the wider perspective. Okay, I'm in harmony, and that's and other people are enjoying it. Good, that's fine. So you see how you come to a stable place. First of all, then your heart can open. You can only find a stable place by being truthful to yourself. What's happening? Resistance, rather not. Well, let's go somewhere else. Stop. Okay, that's fine. Everybody gets this. It's nobody's fault. We can't be a source of constant delight to everyone else. But we can respect when you get that place where I'm not asking the other person to be a pleasant experience for me constantly, as long as they're not physically attacking me, that's fine. Pause and open and be more grand-hearted. Heart becomes bigger I'm more open. So there are a few things there in that situation. One is the immediate feeling, which probably mental feeling, emotional feeling arises from a perception, what's called a perception, an impression. It's not that somebody's poking me or tickling me, it's just that the sight of 15 people chatting to each other, I just find, I just don't really, I like it quite quiet and spacious, actually. Perception, I find the perception of that somewhat jangly. 15 people chatting to each other about nothing special, I find that a bit. Why? Do the words hurt you? Do they dig into you? No. The sound is just being sound. It's somehow the mind being stirred by the perception of diversity and lots of things happening when it doesn't want lots of things to be happening. It means crowded, it means agitated, it means stirred up. My heart takes on that particular quality, it feels stirred and agitated. And I don't want it to be that way. So there are several things that occur there. The perception touches the heart is then shaped, right? It's instead of being a cool, grounded, open, spacious state, it becomes a kind of scattered experience, scattered or shaped or pushed. Its qualities change. And then, of course, the memory or the perception of being spacious and open has gone. And the thing, I haven't got it. It's been taken away from me. They've bothered me. These people are bothering me. Because it's my mind. And I don't want it to be affected that way. Yeah. Is it your mind? If it was completely yours, it'd be exactly what you want it to be all the time, wouldn't it? It would be, if it really was your mind, you could say, okay, just be completely spacious and open with a lot of crazy things happening. But it's not your mind. It's that mind is affected by perception and feeling. And the irritating cause is the person who doesn't want it to be this way. Because whether the mind is moving, why should that be unpleasant? Because I want it to be quiet. When it's quiet, I want it to be moving. When it's slow, I might like it to be fast. When it's a bit sort of stagnant, I like it to be more bright and vibrant. Yeah, and there's things we can do to change that. We can bring around causes and conditions. We're just noticing how dependent the state of citta is on perception and feeling. The feeling comes out of the perception. And when the perceptions, the impressions touch the citta, it changes its shape. You know, when you feel something's attacking you, your citta becomes hard, sharp, contracted, right? Defended citta. Right? Do you notice that? Having an argument. When you're having an argument, does your mind feel broad, spacious, and open? No, it feels contracted, hard, shaking. It has a shape, doesn't it? Did you notice that? And then when it's, say, generous and loving, what's the shape of that? Is it hard and contracted? No, it's sort of soft and open and expansive. Did you notice that? Citta changes shape. And the shape is dependent upon the particular activation. So if disagreeable memories arise, the citta shakes, it's activated. In that way, it shakes and it becomes scattered and unsteady. If it's fed a soothing, steadying, comforting perception, it settles and becomes easeful, perhaps begins to become more harmonious. And if we're cultivating it in meditation, it can become very broad and spacious and open, quiet, shapes. This is why these are called mental formations, sankhara, citta sankhara, mental formations. Mental formations of which the primary formative quality is called intention. That is the impulse that arises to defend myself, or to win something, or to achieve something, or to give something, or to release something. And all those intentions, if you run them through your mind carefully, you'll notice they give a different shape. What's the shape of release? When you say, I just want to let it be. What's the shape of, I'm going to hold on to this no matter what? What's the shape of, they can't tell me what to do? Resisting. What's the shape? Notice the different citta shapes that occur, forms that occur for you. They're not visual shapes, but they're experienced as forming in the heart dimension, which is non-visual, but it's palpable. You can sense, you can feel it. And as you get to feel it, you get a sense of, oh, the one I like best is the unconstricted. Because the energies flow smoothly, freely. There's no pressure, there's no stress. The unconstricted citta. It's not demanding, defending, grabbing, frightened, anxious, shaky, agitated, contracted. That's the one I like best. Buddha said, yes, a wise person seeking their own welfare, concern for their own welfare, will surely cultivate a citta, because nothing can do you so much good as a well-cultivated citta, and nothing can do you so much harm as an unskillful citta. This will kill you. It will. And people do kill themselves psychologically, physically, because the citta becomes unbearable. And people can bear with extreme misfortune, sickness, loss, if the citta is well trained, becomes strong. So in this broad sense of citta and feeling, the English word feeling covers a range of qualities and experiences in the Buddhist analysis. You could say if you're conscious, you feel. Just means you're sensitive. It means you receive things. Consciousness means your sense organs are switched on. You get contact. Bang. Contact only contacts if you get a feeling with it. So if you notice, you look around your space and perhaps the walls you don't really notice, but you notice the vase of flowers. Contact, because that's got a little bit more agreeable quality to it. Or you maybe notice the stain on the carpet or the piece that needs fixing, disagreeable feeling. So where you contact is what strikes you, within the field of consciousness. I mean, let's look at the visual field. You know, you're going to find your eyes and your mind will go to that which has got more feeling to it, agreeable or disagreeable. A contact then is the impression something creates in your heart. Not just what your eyes see, but what strikes your heart. You see the photograph of your children. Oh, right. You see the pleasant view. You see the crack in the wall. You see the things that need fixing. Make you the contact. So we see what we hear, and we remember what's contacted. If you've been alive for 50 years, how much do you remember that? Every moment of every day? Of course not. You remember the pieces that strike you. Yeah. The moments of deep friendship, the crisis that you move through, the happy days when you were in your early teens or something, or the miserable days when you were in your early teens, how it was. And you get a kind of, and you don't remember every second of it, you think, God, I was 14, it was really miserable. There was that, and no way to go, no friends, feeling confused about my life. And there's a kind of blanket impression you get. And of course, during that time, you probably had a nice meal, saw something good on television, but the overall impression, you don't remember that. You remember the overall impression, what strikes you. So it's never accurate in an external sense. It's never a literal, a factual account of what occurred. It's the pieces that now strike you. So the past is being created now. Yeah, the past is being created now. And every time you go there, you shape it a little bit more. Yeah. Maybe the happy experiences get even happier as you dwell upon that pleasant friendship or that whatever it was. The past is being shaped now. Contact happens now. And you remember, and you often gets more and more distorted as time passes. And yet the feelings can be extremely poignant because that's the program that's creating that feeling. Contact is a program. It's not a fact. You might say light strikes the eye. You could say that's relatively factual. But there's a program that seeks where the feeling is, the meaning, pleasant, unpleasant. Yeah. There's a program, seek the feeling. And it seeks the feeling, it shapes the feeling. The flowers on my altar have no pleasure in them. Flowers don't have any feeling like that. And as you note, it's probably something, you bought this thing a year ago, it was really nice. And you put it there, and it was really nice. The next day, it was kind of nice. And after a week, it was okay. And then after a month, you don't even notice it anymore. Where did its feeling go? Yeah. Because the contact is no longer, forming around that impression. So mental feeling is also dependent upon contact. Yeah. And what is contact dependent upon? Desire. Desire for agreeable, or the desire to find out where the disagreeable is so I can fend it off or abolish it or something like that. So it's very much mounted around that. This is not decision, it's just a reflex. It's built into the system. Mm. So a wise person seeking their own welfare will decide, I think what I'm trying to do, I think I've changed my desire. Can I shift my desire to other bases of contact than just objects? Maybe if my desire, shift my desire to contact with what I do, what I'm doing now, then I have some agency around that. If what I'm doing now brings me in tune, alignment with an agreeable base of feeling, what I do is more important than what I have. So this is called chanda, motivation, whereas the other kind of desire for objects is called tanha, thirst. The desire for what to do right, so that the agreeable feeling of harmony arises, the agreeable feeling of no absence of regret. Because when I'm focusing on my actions, I'm not focusing on external objects which come and go and break up, but I'm focusing on what the heart itself is bringing forth now. And recognizing also the beauty of that, of the feeling that comes from those intentions and actions, shapes my mind. As I said, intention shapes your mind. Right? The intention to grasp hold of something contracts it. Right? The intention to repel something hardens it. The intention to welcome something opens it. The intention to bless something opens it. The intention to be compassionate to it opens it. So